Virginia Hall, the spy they underestimated, rejected by diplomats, feared by the Nazis. The first thing the Nazis notice is the limp. It seems insignificant, almost forgettable. A woman walking with a slight hitch in her step. Nothing unusual, nothing threatening, certainly nothing worth reporting. That mistake will cost them dearly, because the woman moving quietly through occupied Europe is not a tourist, not a nurse, not a refugee. She is one of the most dangerous spies the Allies will ever deploy. Her name is Virginia Hall, and the Gestapo will eventually become obsessed with finding her. The remarkable thing is that Virginia Hall was never supposed to be here, not in France, not behind enemy lines, not in the history books, because long before she became a spy, the world had already decided what she could not do. You feel it immediately when stepping into her early life. Virginia is intelligent, ambitious, restless, the kind of person who wants to see the world rather than simply read about it. She studies languages, travels, dreams of diplomacy. You can almost picture her moving through embassies and foreign capitals, confident, capable, certain her future lies in international service. Then, everything changes with a single accident, a hunting trip, a misfire. A bullet strikes her leg. The damage is catastrophic. Doctors have no choice. They amputate below the knee. Virginia is still young, and suddenly the future she imagined vanishes. You can feel the devastation, not just physical pain, the realization that one moment has altered everything. Most people would spend years mourning what they lost. Virginia does something different. She adapts. The artificial leg receives a nickname, Cuthbert. That tells you almost everything you need to know about her, because Virginia Hall has a habit of meeting disaster with stubbornness. The diplomatic service sees her disability as a limitation. Virginia sees it as an inconvenience. Unfortunately, governments tend to win those arguments. Her dream career slips away. Doors close. Applications are rejected. Opportunities disappear. The world keeps telling her the same thing. No. No, you cannot do that. No, you do not belong here. No, someone like you is not what we're looking for. History should have learned by now that telling determined women no is often a terrible strategy, because then comes World War II, and suddenly Europe is on fire. France falls. The Nazis advance. Fear spreads across the continent. Millions run. Virginia moves toward the danger. You can almost feel the shift. This is where ordinary biographies end and spy stories begin. She volunteers, not because it is safe, because it matters. Soon, she finds herself working with resistance networks, smuggling information, carrying messages, building contacts. The work is deadly. Capture means torture. Capture means execution. Capture means disappearing into the machinery of Nazi terror. Yet, Virginia keeps going. The limp remains, the artificial leg remains, and somehow, the woman everyone underestimated becomes one of the most effective agents in occupied Europe. You begin to understand why the Gestapo grows frustrated. Because Virginia is exactly the kind of person intelligence agencies dream about. Adaptable, resourceful, fearless. She blends into crowds, changes identities, disappears when necessary. And behind every successful resistance operation, her influence seems to appear. Safe houses, escape routes, sabotage missions. The network keeps growing. The Nazis know someone is helping the resistance. What they don't know is that the person causing so many problems walks with a prosthetic leg. Soon, they will give her a nickname spoken with fear, and by the time they realize how dangerous Virginia Hall truly is, she will already be slipping through their fingers. Right as the most wanted spy in France begins building a resistance network the Nazis cannot destroy. Because next, Virginia Hall becomes the woman the Gestapo fears most, and launches a spy war that will make her a legend. The Gestapo gives her a nickname. That is when you know things have become serious, because secret police organizations do not usually waste time naming ordinary enemies. But Virginia Hall is no ordinary enemy. To the Nazis, she becomes the limping lady. The name appears on wanted notices, intelligence reports, security briefings, again and again. Find the limping lady. Capture the limping lady. Stop the limping lady. You can almost feel their frustration. Every time they think they have cornered her, she vanishes. Every time they dismantle one resistance network, another appears. Every time they tighten control, someone sabotages a train, a bridge, a communications line. And somewhere behind the scenes, Virginia Hall keeps pulling strings. The remarkable thing is that she does not look like a movie spy. No glamorous disguises, no luxury casinos, no fancy gadgets. Her world is mud, fear, false identities. You wake up wondering if someone betrayed you. You go to sleep wondering if the Gestapo is already outside. That is the reality of espionage in occupied France. And Virginia thrives in it. You can almost picture her cycling down country roads. Messages hidden, contacts memorized, cover stories prepared. A woman with a prosthetic leg moving through one of the most dangerous places on earth. Then, disaster strikes. A resistance network is compromised. Arrests begin. The Nazis are getting closer, much closer. Soon, Virginia receives the message every spy dreads. Get out. Now. Because if she stays, capture is almost certain. And capture by the Gestapo is not merely imprisonment, it is interrogation, torture, execution. Virginia understands exactly what is at stake. So she does something extraordinary. She escapes across the Pyrenees. Pause for a moment. The Pyrenees, in winter, on foot, with a prosthetic leg. Most healthy people would struggle. Virginia Hall simply adds it to her list of problems. You can almost feel the exhaustion. Snow, ice, steep mountain paths, every step painful, every mile dangerous, yet she keeps moving. Because that is what Virginia Hall does. She keeps moving. There is a famous story from the journey. Virginia sends a coded message mentioning that Cuthbert is giving her trouble. Remember Cuthbert? Her artificial leg. Back in London, confused officials allegedly reply, "If Cuthbert is giving you trouble, eliminate him." You can almost imagine Virginia reading the message and laughing despite everything. The humor feels perfectly suited to her. Because if you cannot laugh while outrunning the Gestapo through snow-covered mountains, when can you? Eventually, she reaches safety. For most people, that would be the end. Mission accomplished. Time to stay alive. Not Virginia. She wants back in. Think about that. The Nazis know who she is. They are actively hunting her. Her face is known. Her nickname is known. And she still wants to return. That level of determination borders on unbelievable. Yet that is exactly what happens. This time she works with the Office of Strategic Services, the organization that will eventually evolve into the CIA. And Virginia returns to France. Not openly, secretly, disguised. Older clothes, different appearance, new identity. The transformation is so effective that even people who previously knew her fail to recognize her. The Nazis are searching everywhere for the famous limping lady. Meanwhile, she is already back in the country, building networks, training resistance fighters, coordinating sabotage, preparing for something enormous. Because now the Allies are planning the liberation of France, and behind enemy lines, resistance groups need leadership. They need weapons. They need information. They need someone capable of organizing chaos. Virginia Hall becomes that person. You can almost see her moving from village to village, meeting farmers, rail workers, teachers, shopkeepers, ordinary people preparing to challenge one of the most powerful military machines in history. And somehow, the woman once rejected because of her disability becomes one of the most valuable intelligence agents of the entire war. The irony is impossible to miss. Governments once looked at Virginia Hall and saw limitations. The Nazis look at her and see a nightmare. One side underestimated her, the other fears her, and history makes it very clear which side understood her better. Soon, the Allied invasion will begin. The resistance networks Virginia helped build will spring into action. Railroads will be sabotaged, communications severed, German movements disrupted, and all across France, the shadow war she helped organize will finally emerge into the open. The limping lady is no longer running. Now she's helping bring an empire down. By 1944, the war is turning. Not ending. Not yet. But for the first time in years, the Nazis are being pushed back, and deep inside occupied France, the resistance networks Virginia Hall helped build are preparing for their moment. You can almost feel the tension. Every railway line matters. Every bridge matters. Every telephone wire matters, because an invasion is coming, and when it arrives, every hour of confusion inflicted upon the Germans could save thousands of lives. Virginia understands this better than almost anyone. The work now is relentless. Weapons drops, secret meetings, radio transmissions, the kind of work that never appears in headlines, the kind that determines whether headlines happen at all. You can picture her moving through rural France, a cane in one hand, a bicycle nearby, looking less like a legendary spy and more like an ordinary village woman. That is her greatest weapon. Nobody sees danger until it is too late. Then comes Normandy landings, D-Day, the day the Allies stormed the beaches of France, the day history remembers. But while soldiers fight on the beaches, another battle erupts inland. The resistance rises. Rail lines explode. Communication networks fail. German troop movements slow. Across France, countless operations begin unfolding simultaneously, and Virginia's fingerprints are everywhere. You can almost imagine the frustration among German commanders. Orders delayed, supplies missing, information interrupted. An invisible enemy seems to exist everywhere at once. That invisible enemy is exactly what Virginia spent years creating. Not a single organization, a network, a web of ordinary people doing extraordinary things. Farmers, shopkeepers, teachers, students, people the Nazis overlooked, people Virginia never did. That may be her greatest talent. She sees potential where others see limitations, including in herself, especially in herself. The war eventually ends. The crowds celebrate. Church bells ring. Nations breathe again. And for millions, the story reaches its conclusion. For Virginia Hall, something strange happens. Almost nothing. No victory parade. No celebrity status. No movie star treatment. You can almost laugh at the irony. One of the most effective spies of World War II, one of the most hunted agents in Europe, and most people have absolutely no idea who she is. That is often how intelligence work functions. Success requires secrecy. The better you are at your job, the less famous you become. Yet, within intelligence circles, Virginia is legendary. The stories spread quietly. The woman with the prosthetic leg, the woman who escaped the Gestapo, the woman who crossed mountains in winter, the woman who returned after everyone told her not to. Eventually, she receives recognition. The Harry S. Truman administration awards her the Distinguished Service Cross, an extraordinary honor, especially for a civilian woman, especially during that era. Yet even then, Virginia avoids publicity. No grand speeches, no attention-seeking interviews. She remains what she has always been, focused, practical, uninterested in fame. Later, she joins the newly formed Central Intelligence Agency, again making history, again quietly, again without demanding recognition. And perhaps that is why her story feels so powerful today, because Virginia Hall's life is not built around being extraordinary. It is built around refusing surrender. The world tells her she cannot become a diplomat. She finds another way to serve. A hunting accident takes her leg. She keeps moving. The Nazis hunt her. She escapes. The mountains block her path. She climbs them. Again and again, history presents obstacles, and again, Virginia Hall treats them as problems to solve rather than reasons to quit. That mindset changes everything. The Gestapo once considered her one of the most dangerous Allied agents in Europe. Think about that. Not despite her disability, not despite the doors that closed in her face, because she refused to let those things define her. The same woman dismissed by bureaucrats became the woman feared by one of the most ruthless police organizations in history. That is not merely a spy story. That is a story about persistence, about adaptation, about what happens when determination becomes stronger than circumstance. So we leave Virginia Hall here, walking down a quiet French road, the war behind her, the Gestapo defeated, the resistance victorious, and Cuthbert clicking softly against the ground with every step. The Nazis spent years searching for the limping lady. They never truly caught up, because Virginia Hall was always moving forward. If this story stayed with you, if you felt the tension of occupied France and the courage required to keep going when every door seems closed, don't stop here. There are more women like Virginia, women who changed history from the shadows, women who refused to accept the limits others placed on them, women who proved that determination can be more powerful than fear. Stay dangerous, stay loud, and never let them hold the pen.